welcome to the Campfire Passport podcast. This is going to be a special episode because we have a guest, and it's the first time we have a guest. I think we're going to have more guests in the future. That's the hope, right, Colin?
We're shooting for it.
We're shooting for it. We're shooting for the moon. And this guest is really cool. He's a local 4x4 guy. He runs 4x4BEND Instagram page. Shout out to Ethan. He was happy to join us tonight and talk about his upcoming event, 80s on Edison. And you know I'm a Land Cruiser nerd, so I got to talk about it. It is on November 4th and 5th. You should look at 4x4BEND on Instagram to take a look at this if you're in Central Oregon or even in the Northwest, because really, like if you're in Seattle or whatever, it's 5 hours, so you can make it. It's worth it. They're a great group of people. It's going to be a really cool run. Unfortunately, I will probably not be there, but I might be there at the very end. Colin might be there. Who knows? I doubt it. But he's going to support the event with some really cool merch that is from here, from us. And on that note, Colin, where can people buy that merch?
Just straight from the website or the Instagram or the Facebook, or, DM. I don't care. However you want to buy it, we can make it happen. Don't you worry.
You can also email secretsvp@gmail.com for all your merch.
Absolutely.
I will say, though, since we're all here and we don't need an intro, but you do need an intro, we're going to introduce Ethan, who is a local 4x4 guy, 80 series guy, so that means he's really cool. And he runs an Instagram page called 4x4BEND, which has a good look, and it's got a decent amount of followers and a bunch of cool stuff. Before we get into the whole reason that we wanted to have you on the show today, why don't you tell us something about you? What's your story?
So I guess it starts, I moved to Bend in 2016. My aunt and uncle offered to move me out here at 19 years old, and I said yes, and about 2 weeks later I bought that Land Cruiser that was mentioned, and the rest is history. I've owned that truck for probably about 8 years. And I've lived and worked locally in Bend since then. I have moved out. And I think I'm here to stay for quite a while.
It's a good place to be. Sorry, Colin. I think I like to lump it up, though. Central Oregon is just Central Oregon.
Yeah,
Redmond might suck a little bit, but it's all Central Oregon. It's
when
good.
all you guys just only plan things in Bend. That's the only
where
time.
Everything's at, man.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot. Except for half the people we hang out with.
Yeah. But if you want to go to Costco, where are you going?
Not Costco.
Soon to be on the north end.
That's right.
Yeah, just about to be closer.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're Ethan. You're a bike guy too, right?
Mm-hmm. I am. I started riding BMX at 12, 13, somewhere in there. Got my first legitimate BMX bike. I had a GT. I think it was Aggressor. No, that's the mountain bike. Some GT. It was bronze color with 3-piece cranks. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this thing's rad. Riding around, and then I rode it till the wheels fell off. And then I got my first proper BMX bike, which was a FBM. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them, but
yeah,
very much East Coast represent. That's where I grew up,
sure.
Was south of Boston. But I rode that, and then when I moved out here, there isn't really much of a BMX scene. It's more race than anything else. So I decided to try out mountain biking, and now I have 2 mountain bikes, 1 BMX bike, and I haven't touched my BMX bike in a hot minute. But
Man, I'm the same way. So we never get into this on the show, but like Colin definitely has a little BMX and skateboard background, but like that is BMX bikes were my thing for a long time, and I still have, I don't know, a handful, 3 older bikes and 1 like semi-current bike, but same thing. Like at one point, I decided that like I needed a grown-up bike, so I got a mountain bike. Big wheels go faster and are smoother, and it's way easier to deal with on my body because that happens. Thanks to BMX.
yeah.
Suddenly feel a lot older than you did.
Also, I was gonna say, and also, thanks to BMX and also being around 10 years older than you, when bikes were, all 40 pounds all the time, and 4 pegs and front and rear brakes were like the thing. My back and the rest of my body is not great, but I can still ride it. It's just not like it used to be. It's still fun. I still love it.
Yeah, there is seriously nothing like riding a BMX bike. And then you wake up the next morning and you feel like you got absolutely fucking hit by a truck.
Oh yeah.
And just you feel like, why did I do this to myself? And then you're like, wow, that was so much fun. I want to do it again. And you remember what happened last time.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. I don't know if we talked about this on another podcast, but I feel like we did. I think it's really interesting the amount of crossover that's come from, like, BMX is a lot of it, but skate and BMX culture into off-road and motorsports. Like, the drift community is just littered with action sports people. Off-road is pretty close. Like, you get a little bit of the mix of like your little bit more redneck, like dirt bike crew too. But otherwise, man, it's like, that's what it is. That's the people. And I don't know if that's like a Pacific Northwest thing or if it's everywhere, but it seems like really common.
I want to say it's most everywhere. I think it's a common theme amongst the East and West Coast in these particular hobbies, I guess is what you could call it. And I guess lifestyle, that's the word for it.
Yeah.
Like I still have friends who are like they hang out with like the Club Loose guys back east, and a lot of them are mountain bikers. The big O word that I don't like to use, which is overlanders.
Car camping.
Yeah, car camping. There we go. Correct term. Use the right words. And there's a lot of crossover in that because they kind of go hand in hand. It's one of those things where, like my homies that ride bikes also like to go get sideways on the track and have a good time doing that, and it's the same fun. You're just doing something different.
Yeah.
So
I think about it like in the like doing any sort of like off-road trail, like if you go run a trail with like multiple obstacles, not something you're just overlanding or whatever, doing that, but just like a real wheeling trail. It's a lot like a jam session to me. So it's like there's an obstacle, I'm going to go up that. I saw that guy go up it, so I'm going to go up it a different way. Like it kind of does the same thing. And I think drift is that way too a lot of times because it's the same thing, right? Like there's the same 4 turns and I'm going to come in a little hotter, or I'm going to try to go do whatever, So it's really lends itself, I think, to that, like growing up in that world.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to look at it. Because I get that same feeling as someone that's spent a lot of time riding bikes in various different manners. You very much get the same idea, just demonstrated in a different manner. Of that session where like, oh, homeboy did it switch, but now we're gonna go do it the other way around and throw a bar spin in there or something like that. Just to the sly one-upmanship is always super fun. And, you just get a really good session going, and it can be the same thing where it's like your buddy drove his truck up this, so you're like, well, now I'm gonna drive my truck up this, even though I don't think I can.
Or
and you do it anyways.
There's always like the
like
I'm going first.
Pressure. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. It is. What is the what got you started with creating a new community around off-road. Like we live in an area with a couple old guy clubs, I guess would be the best term for it, and some just people that, do some off-roading and things like that. But like, did you see a need and try to fill it, or was it more like, hey, I'm hanging out with people already, let's make it something?
So the original need for 4x4Bend was, actually I should just probably give you the origin story of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because it's far more than an Instagram page. We are a TLCA chapter, which is the Toyota Land Cruiser Association. We're a nonprofit.
Nice.
But basically, what I had seen was a lot of inaction from the chapter that was here in Central Oregon, and I was involved with that. And the only thing going on at that point in time was the stuff that myself, my buddy Jeremy, and my buddy Dylan, and a few other people were doing. And it was under the guise of this other club. And I was like, the people in charge are not present at any of these events, and we're becoming the face of this community inadvertently. And
yeah.
I'm like, I should probably just do this for myself. And I looked at a couple of different options, and I decided that the TLCA route was the way I wanted to go, just because they're an awesome group to work with, and having that backing and the actual funding, if I need to do like an event or something like that, I can kind of lean on them too.
That's cool.
Like land cleanup grants and stuff like that through the TLCA, which was never utilized. I should specify, never mentioned or utilized to the members of that other group. And it was one of those things where I had no idea that the TLCA could do this for people, and I was like, we should get involved. And something really neat is I wrote an article for the Toyota Trails about an event that we have coming up, Eighties on Edison, which is something we'll talk about later.
Yes.
And I got paid for it, which
No
was
way.
really cool. And I had no idea.
That's awesome. Well, it also, by the way, before we move from that, it looks great and it read well. Like I saw that and I thought it was super cool.
Thank you.
It came out of nowhere. I was just like, oh my God, look at this. I was a little disappointed that there was no pictures of my vehicle there, but whatever. I'll get over it. I always just seem to miss magazine coverage by like this much. This much. They'll be like 2 cars over from mine. Perfect. Great.
Yeah, so actually, funny story about the pictures that got selected. I had sent over, I don't know, probably a dozen and a half, maybe 2 dozen photos for the editor at TLCA. I think his name's Stan. Great guy to work with. He happened to pick, I think, 5 or 6 pictures of the same truck. So my friend Terry calls me up. He's like, hey, I read your article in the TLCA Toyota Trails magazine, and he's like, yeah, did you only send them pictures of my truck and Braun's truck? And I'm like, no, dude, I had no control over this. It's just how they laid it out. And sure enough, it's his truck on the front cover, the big white one. And this page 2 is his truck again, and then the green one on the other page next to it is his wife's truck driving. And they both drive 80 series. They're great people. Carrie and Braun are awesome. And
That's great.
It's a little bit just sprinkled in, but those are the pictures that were chosen, and Carrie was very excited. So he's like, hey, that's my truck.
Did you take those photos, or were they somebody else?
Some of the photos are mine. Some of the photos were Jeremy's.
Cool. That's very cool. Nice. So I gotta ask the other thing here too, is the other group still around, or did you take their spot, or how does that work? Can there be 2 chapters in the same location?
You can have two TLCA chapters in the same area effectively. The other chapter, we had basically a falling out with the leadership, and I decided to go in a separate direction, which is fine. I don't hold any sort of ill will towards them. Just a difference in opinion and move forward.
Yeah.
Because just people want to get out, and I want to get out and meet new people and do that sort of thing. And there's no rules with the TLCA regarding where you can and can't have clubs necessarily.
Got it.
Like NorCal has like 4 or 5 in like a 300-mile radius. So it just depends on where you're at and how many people with Toyotas you have around.
That's interesting. So I went on a run of the other groups once long ago, and I quickly, no offense to any of those guys, and I actually met a few really cool people that I've still seen around these days, but I was immediately. Yep, I think you were there. I immediately though was like, this is not the group for me. We went to Schwartz Canyon, RIP, and there's a side obstacle out there that I'd seen a bunch of buggies do, and I was like, I'm gonna go up this, and I've never made it up it, and I don't intend to make it up it now, but I'm gonna try. And I just dinked around and went up it, and it was a weird thing. No one else wanted to do anything like that. Everybody was like airing down to drive on the gravel road, and not like I'm trying to come off as some sort of like hardcore off-road person, but I just felt like we're all in the same vehicle or really close. Like, I know what those can do. We should, if there's a hard line, like, it's fine that you're not doing it, but don't act like you would never do it. It was a weird scenario. And so it just like I said, it immediately turned me off, and I was like, oh, there's like some nice people, and actually really everybody was friendly and nice. It wasn't that they were not. I just realized, like, not my group, not my type of people to hang out with. So
your car was the only car they posted pictures of from it too.
Yeah, it was weird. I think what it was is like, and I think this happens with a lot of cars that have like a wide audience, or maybe they started out really expensive and then they got cheaper, or the other way around, I guess, with these sometimes. But like, I'm sure that like E36 M3 guys are probably like this. Like, there's this wide variety from you can't mess with what BMW did from the factory all the way to I've built a pickup truck without a roof. Like, it's pretty wide. And so that group that's like, I would never put non-OEM brake pads on this car, is the group where I'm like, I don't think we agree. Like, I'm sure they're fine, but like, PowerStop makes ceramic brake pads for these. What are you doing? So that was the vibe I got. So, hopefully it's a fresh new look at that, and that's good.
Yeah, kind of going off what you said about the non-OEM brake pads. That's not us. We're just here for a good time, man. Like, obviously, there's going to be some educational aspects, and there's going to be some teachable moments that always happen in whatever group it is.
Yeah.
But we're first and foremost, we're here to have a good time safely. It's like you said, it's it might not be the group for everybody, but we want to try to focus on getting people out. We try to do a run once a month. Nice. So, like, just a few weeks ago, we had gone out with Cascade Cruisers. They came over the hill from the Portland area where they're based out of, the other TLCA chapter. And we had, I think, 13 rigs total, 12 or 13 rigs. Everybody from, like, built buggies to, like, a Tacoma on 33s.
Nice.
And it was a great time. We ran Trail 34 at Klein, which you guys might be familiar with.
Yep.
Quite.
Great time. We had a K5 Blazer that broke all but one axle shaft. We had a Jeep the Comanche. I think it's a WJ. I don't know the term for it. I'm not a Jeep guy.
It's not a WJ. Sorry.
No, what is that's
the WJ is Grand Cherokee from '99 to 2005, I think.
And that had the last solid axle, correct?
Correct. Last front solid axle, other than the Wranglers, yeah.
Yes,
yes. The Jeep trucks, the Comanches, those are MJs.
MJs. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mistake. I think Comanches are friggin' rad.
They are.
But this dude, we hadn't even got to the first obstacle yet, and dude puts it in like super duper low or whatever. I don't know what happened. I was watching Cody, and he tries to go up this one obstacle and shears the output on the first obstacle.
Oh my god!
Just trying to go up, trying to go up, and it's sheared. So,
That's a rough day.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And then within that, we got around up and over to 34 after playing there for a minute, and then that K5 Blazer broke one axle shaft there, and then two more later on in the day.
Oh my god!
And then we had a fuel pump fail. What else? We had something else break too. My buddy Aaron, who's my VP of 4x4BEND, he got high centered and then turtled on like a drop in his GX, and thankfully he has full skids, but ended up bending the lower link on one of the rocks because he slipped off, and we had some pretty good carnage that day. It was a lot of fun.
That trail is like, it's not that difficult, but it's just difficult enough to give a lot of heartache. We've talked about it a bunch. We always joke around about it being like the baseline of, we took Colin's stock Disco 2 out there. We've taken stock XJs through it. We've taken stock Rubicon JLs through it. And like, everyone can make it through in its own way.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's certain things you're gonna not do, maybe, but that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We took my girlfriend's. So my girlfriend has an 80 series now. She's got an imported HDJ 81 in the emerald green. It's gorgeous. But before that, she had a 2019 Tacoma, and we put a 3-inch Ironman lift in that thing, and wheels and tires, 33s, nothing special, and drove it through there. And she did most of the obstacles.
Nice.
And she can drive. It's awesome to watch, and it was really entertaining to see her this time around in her 80 on 35s just walk over things that the Tacoma struggled with. So
yeah, that wheelbase difference between a double cab, Tacoma
That's a big one.
to that, it's like, that's a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then obviously a little more tire and all that torque from that diesel is great. Is that truck auto or manual?
It's auto.
That's nice. I know that like I'm supposed to like manual transmissions over everything always because I'm a car guy, but like I don't in my off-road vehicle. I just don't. Now driving one before, I had never really, so I've driven one now. Thanks, Tyson. The manual makes sense and it does have its spot, but I really like a torque converter for, especially in the rocks. Like, it is so nice to be able to know exactly what's going to happen and not have it die and just all those things. So anyways, that's my rant on automatics on off-road vehicles.
I am in agreement. Prior to this one, so this last event we had was with Cascade Cruisers. We also tagged along for Jefferson State Four-Wheel Drive Association. They usually run McGrew and they pull permits for it.
Cool.
But unfortunately, McGrew was on fire this year. Couldn't run it because it's on fire. It's not good for anybody. So they hit me up and they're like, "Hey, we want to come check out Edison." And I'm like, "Hell yeah, bring it on. Let's go. I love Edison." So we actually had one of the guys come down from the Dalles. Richard Clark is his name. It's Clark Fab on Instagram. He's got like one of the most gorgeous 80 series, but it's a 5-speed. So watching like two very similarly built HDJ 81s, one with a 5-speed, one with an auto. My buddy, actually my roommate Doug, was with us that day, and it was very interesting to watch them follow one another and see where the auto the auto definitely has an edge off road.
Yeah.
Like comparing side by side, both on 37s, and it's kind of interesting to see.
I think when you get into trucks, like you get a big doubler going on and a ton of gear or something, that game starts to shift a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's easier. I would rather drive it that way. But I get it. I get wanting to have complete control. It's great. It it is fantastic to have a manual a lot of times, but like in my big dumb Land Cruiser, I do not. I got that question a lot as I was getting like closer to swapping engines. It was a lot of like, are you gonna put a manual in it? And I'm like, no, why would I ever do that? That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, not without a doubler or something, because it's one of those things where it's like you end up, like you said, you have to work the extra pedal, and if you ever want a left foot brake, it's like if you're not geared low enough to be able to left foot brake and go extremely slow without it dying, there's no advantageous pieces to that. It's got to be able to be geared low enough that it can overcome going extremely slow, basically, because that's what it's supposed to do. Is it has to go a certain speed with X gearing, so
yeah. I didn't, because I missed this somehow the same way I missed your really cool run at Klein a few weeks ago that I wanted to go on, but the rest of our little group of people here ran McGrew this year. Was it early season or late season? When was that?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
We did get a group through McGrew. I'd have to look at the date exactly, but it was earlier. It was earlier in the summer. It was like what was it? It was July, or was it June? No, yeah, it was July. It was like it was second week of July, and we got through. There was no threat of fire or anything like that, so we made it.
I mean, there's always a threat of fire, right?
Yeah, well, down there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like a good trail. I'd like to run that next year, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
It's a really cool area. It's not anything that's really hard by any means. Like, I'd say that Edison is more challenging than McGrew is, but the area that it goes through and the kind of views and whatnot that you end up with along the trail are cooler than Edison. So it's cool. It's worth doing at least once just to, see it, basically. So that's where I'd put it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, the only the main reason that we wanted to have Ethan on today was, one, to have a guest. Actually, you're our first guest that's not part of our normal group of people, by the way, so no pressure. I wanted to tell you that in the middle so that you would
thanks.
the bar would be
yeah.
Here to hear.
Yeah, we have some guests in the works, so you're the first of many, I think. Anyways, what I was gonna say is that we really the reason that I wanted to have you on as a fellow Land Cruiser nerd was that I wanted you to promote 80s on Edison, which I think is one of the coolest events that we've got locally. It obviously, there are events that are probably a lot better because they are a wider group of things, but for my interests, 80s on Edison is really cool. I went last year, and I don't even remember how I heard about it. It must have been from Jeremy's Instagram or your Instagram or something. It was just like, hey, we're doing this. And I thought, well, that's pretty neat. And so I showed up, and I had our buddy Mike Palmer with me, and it was a good time. It's really interesting, alternately to going out with the Land Cruiser Club people in the past. It's really interesting to go on a trail like that in the snow with a bunch of vehicles that are the same as yours. It was really weird for me to go out there, because I'm used to running with other vehicles, because that's what, everybody's got a diverse group of things. It'd be going riding bikes and everybody's got the exact same bike, and it's like, wow, we everything is the same. This is weird. And there's some differences, and there's different skill levels and drivers and things like that. And there was actually a couple other vehicles which were pretty fun last year too. But overall, I thought it was a really cool event. Maybe part of it was just the timing and the weather and all the things we got to, so hopefully that works well for you guys this year. Can you run us through exactly what the event is and how you got started on it?
Yeah, so the event started kind of as a harebrained thing from Jeremy, and those of you who know Jeremy know he just kind of does things by the seat of his pants at any and all time. So last year he approached me. He's like, "Hey, I want to do a like a 80 series specific event. And I'm like, okay, sure, lay it on me. And in typical Jeremy fashion, he's like, okay, we're gonna go run Edison one afternoon in like the middle of July. It's like a gajillion degrees out. It's like 110. And my truck, like, mind you, Edison in the summer is, in the dead heat of summer, is not great.
Yeah,
It's like the dustiest place in the universe.
Possibly.
Yeah.
And then when you're not trying to clear dust out of your eyeballs, you know, even if you got goggles on and safety glasses and, you know, your mother on speed dial, you're still going to get dust everywhere. So we were like, okay, we should do this, but like in the snow. So we basically threw darts at a wall and like, okay, this weekend looks good. So we invited a bunch of people that had 80s and kind of as a trial run. Because at this point in the timeline, 4x4BEND was in the works, but wasn't an official TLCA chapter.
Got it.
So it was about a month later or so that we became official. But you know, it was. I think I promoted it through there and through Jeremy through his channels, and I think we had a total of, I think 10 or 12 80 series show up, which is quite a few.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand the weirdness factor of being around a bunch of your own, like, a bunch of the same cars. It feels like the GTA effect in real life. And you're like, what is going on? But
Yeah.
it's not so much about the 80 series, because anybody can buy it. But those of us stupid enough to own them for long periods of time, it's almost like it's like a reward. It gets better with age, I feel. And it's like a fine wine, perhaps.
There are things on mine that have gone bad in this time.
Yes, it's fine.
Little rancid, but
Yeah,
yes, I get the idea.
Yeah, it's all that oil burning, you know.
Yeah.
So it means there's oil in it.
It's true.
So more or less, we decided that as 4x4BEND, this should be our flagship event for the year. So more or less, it was just like, okay, why not? We're here. We did it last year. Let's do it again. It was fun. Again, this is mostly fun, motivated stuff.
Yeah.
So we're like, screw it. Let's do it again. So this year, we actually had some time to plan, and we've got a Liquid Death sponsorship for this year. So there will be.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I reached out to Liquid Death, and they were like, hey, I was like, hey, we got this event going on. We do a lot of public land stuff, like public land cleanup and stuff like that. We had our own cleanup this year as well. But helping out with public land stewards and promoting trail stewardship and things of that nature. And they're like, hell yeah, we'll send you guys some swag and some beverages for the event. I was like, that's great. So we'll have some very refreshing beverages up there as well.
Nice.
We've also got a raffle this year. So Jeremy, and I've tasked him with squirreling away all the prizes for this year. We've got stuff from local fabricator Anthony Bell of Bell Fabrication. We've got Oregon Trail Micah. He's going to do a rear bumper, or at least money towards one. This is all 80 series specific stuff. Solve Function. So Lee Lim, he's got his own podcast too. I don't know if you've ever listened to that.
I haven't yet, but I do know that exists.
Yes, it's very much 80 series centric. So if you like nerding out
Hard
about
pass for me.
this kind of stuff, that's totally fine too. It's not for everybody.
I might have to be in the right mood, but I get it.
No, it's definitely. There's one. He interviewed the owner of Wits End, so that might put some things in perspective for you. If you,
not to bring up some drama that Colin's not going to give two fucks about, but I've seen some internet postings about some very unhappy Turbo Kit pre-order people.
Yes.
And some. How do I don't want to. There's a parallel I want to draw here that Colin's going to understand as soon as I say it, but I don't want to say it out loud. So think about that for a second, Colin. Think about what might be going on.
I think I got you there.
Okay. Sorry, Ethan. I didn't want to. I don't want to. allude to a thing that you can't know, but maybe I'll tell you off the air.
Sounds good.
But
I will stay tuned for the NDA after this, and I will sign my life away.
there you go. Yeah. Anyways, so interesting.
I might have a clue, but lay it on me after the show.
Got it. Yeah.
Anyways, so we've got Solve Function throwing in some stuff.
Cool.
Obviously, Technique Vehicle Outfitters, which is Jeremy's business. They're gonna be providing dinner, so they're paying me to make beef stew for like, I don't know, a dozen or so people.
Nice.
Which is great. Like I'm not making any money off of it. I'm not profiting anything, but I like to cook, so
Sure.
we'll be doing that. And then they're going to throw in a bunch of like recovery gear. I think Front Runner's got some stuff that's going to be thrown in.
Dang.
We got like Jeremy, he set him loose on something and he gets it done. So
The wild hair.
yes, seriously. And there's probably stuff I'm forgetting, but we've got a list about a mile long of things that are going to be donated for the raffle, which
Nice.
is awesome. And the best part is, I think we have maybe a total of 20 people signed up between staff and attendees.
That's going to be quite the raffle.
It's going to be a great raffle. People are going to win some
Yeah.
awesome stuff. So
Nice.
I'm super excited for that. So that's kind of a new addition for our first official, whatever you want to call it, event.
Yep.
Not event. First official 80s on Edison, I guess is what you want to call it. It is an
There
event,
you
I just don't have a name for it.
The one that has a sticker for it, at least. The most
Yes.
branded one. Yeah.
Yes, the most official.
Yeah.
I made that sticker myself.
That's nice. I like it.
Yeah. Shout out car stickers. Those guys are awesome.
It showed up on my windshield one day, and I was like, I know this person. Why is this thing on my vehicle? Like,
Because you need
what
to
is
come,
this all
you need to
about?
come party in the woods, damn it. So
I'm not gonna make it. Turns out,
that's okay.
I want to go so bad, but
want
I
a sticker
can't.
back.
Yeah, you could. I haven't peeled it yet. I was saving it. It's with the good stickers.
That's
Okay,
reusable
it's
now.
piled away with all the good ones.
You can put it on your truck, Adam.
I'm gonna put it on the windshield of Colin's Wagoneer and then send him and
Oh,
just figure it
is
out.
that the Waggy?
Yeah,
I've seen the Wagoneer around, and the thing is rad.
Thank
it
you.
is very cool.
It's super cool. I don't really like new Jeeps, but like old like XJs and like just stuff that's been beat to crap and just well loved. I'm like, yes, this is the one for me. So,
Yeah. We're
Yes,
not.
it is. It's
we're,
good.
we're not Jeep people. We've just got one guy that always seems to have a Wrangler at some point in his in his life when it comes to being around us. And he's a bit of
I think I called it a Subaru.
Yeah, he's a bit of a Jeep person too. That's the thing. He doesn't like to admit it, but he's definitely a Jeep person.
Big
So-
Jeep guy.
So does he have a bunch of ducks on the dashboard too, and angry eyes on it?
He would. I know he would.
Yeah.
If we weren't in his life, 100%. Sorry, Mike, but you would.
If someone
He's gonna be so mad.
if someone ducks his car, I guarantee you he keeps it. He does have one duck in there. I've seen it. So I know for a fact if he gets ducked, it's going to be on his dash. So yes, he is that type. He won't do the angry eyes, mostly because he knows we'll say something about it. But he is also the type to
Good.
take the Rubicon stickers off the hood and put his own stickers that say something else on there, because Wrangler people are very clever and they love to name the vehicle some random thing that has nothing to do with anything instead of having the Rubicon stickers.
Of course.
Gotcha. What is this particular vehicle named?
I think that it just has a Rubicon sticker on it right now.
Right now, yeah, because he keeps forgetting to get his fire truck stickers.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Did it catch on fire like that guy Coyote Works?
No. No,
No, but it has
it
been
is.
wrecked.
He's mildly clever. It is a funny backstory, and it has
It is
been
funny
wrecked.
backstory.
Okay. So there's always
I just came up with an idea. We should make him a secretrsvp@gmail.com hood sticker. That would be the thing.
That'd be the way to go for him. Yes.
So backstory. I don't even know how this came up, but we shout out his email address every episode. For sure, at least once, maybe multiple times, whether he's here or not. And so, yeah, I think that'd be perfect. That's a good one. Okay, so...
Wait, his email is rsvp@gmail.com?
Oh, no. Secret rsvp@gmail.com.
Oh! It's just dumb.
Oh, there's a backstory to that, too, of course, just like anything.
I need more beer for this.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Before we dissect the rest of Mike's email address, what are the actual specifics on the event? Like
Okay.
So it's go ahead. Yeah.
Specifics and details of the event. So November 4th and 5th, we're gonna have an overnight camp out at not at Edison because you can't camp there, but very close. We've got a big campsite set aside stocked with firewood and all that jazz. So the idea is 8 a.m. on November 4th, you are at Edison OHV, and you get signed in. If you don't have a sticker already, you get your little sticker, and then you get a raffle ticket, and you can buy more, which goes back to the club. And then I'm hoping to have everybody on trail starting about 9:15. So somewhere in there we'll have a quick safety brief, and then depending on how many people we have, we'll either split it up into one or two groups, depending on how many participants show and how many people want to come along. So we'll wander off like a herd of turtles into the woods, and away we go. And ideally, we'll have one break at like our first kind of hairpin turn. I don't know if you I've got it marked on Gaia, but it's that 180-degree hairpin turn. I think you got stuck there last year.
I don't recall getting stuck.
Anyway,
I did get stuck once, pretty bad.
No.
I got buried one time.
I think you drove over a log.
That sounds right.
No.
No. Someone did. I pulled that guy off.
That's right.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Whoa, Sean,
Yeah.
that is
Much further.
Maybe you should reword that. We don't want
I tugged that guy off.
Well, all right. We're just gonna go. We're digging it deeper. Okay, got it.
I did.
It was Ryan. He's one of the OG Gambler guys.
Yeah. Yep. That's the guy. So we had a whole debacle of getting him off of the log, not just off the log, and then I got stuck much later on because that ranger and I were very far ahead, and we were having a great time, and I took a line that didn't have any tracks, and it was fine until I just broke through, and so I got buried. But it was great because he pulled me out before anybody came along, so there was no plunger, nothing. Everything was good.
You know, I'm glad you remembered the plunger. But yeah, so I think I had one in my car for some reason. We were brainstorming because this is at the time. So sorry, sidetrack.
It's good.
Oh, we'll get back on here. The plunger is like there's no real meaning to it. It's just kind of one of those things where like we're all drinking beer and like we need to have like a symbol or something. Like our previous club would have what we called the Captain Morgan, where you'd stand on your tire, and that would be your admission of defeat and I need help. It was your cue per se. And some people still do that because there's still overlap. But we were like, what about like a rather phallic-shaped feminine object? You're like, no. I mean, yes, but no. So we're like, what is like kid-friendly and like still kind of funny and obscene, like something that shouldn't be out there? I was like, a plunger. So we ended up getting a plunger, and I drilled a hole through the top of it, stuck like jingle bells to it so you could just wave it around, and just stuck it on people's cars.
It was good.
And it was great. But yeah, I've still got it in the back of my car, in the back of my cruiser.
That's great.
So it'll the original one will be there. I'm gonna paint it gold, I think.
I was really happy not to get the plunger because I think it was just running up front that was like, no, everything's gonna happen behind me, so no plunger for me.
Yeah, you were with Brian in the Ranger.
Yeah,
which is
that thing was
not
sweet.
an 80 series.
No.
Not an 80 series, but we're not very. I mean, we're serious about it, but we're not serious about it. This is fun. Like it's
So-
not that serious.
Are you saying that if someone who had a sweet Wagoneer with a Chevy V8 in it and a bunch of cool other stuff showed up with some raffle shirts in it, you wouldn't kick them out?
I mean, I think I've got a Land Cruiser badge I can stick on it.
Oh, he might not go for that.
He might not. I mean, it wouldn't be permanent. I could just like.
I'm not really. I'm not a
Putty or
Jeep guy,
something.
but you know, I
Okay.
I don't like
it's-
to cross streams like that.
Okay. Is it like a brand new Grand Wagoneer? Can you make it like? I don't really care. You can come. If you like, I have to put on this like online persona of like, yeah, I'm the president, or you have to have an 80 series. I mean, yes, this is like I don't want to be seen as, my head up my ass, like president. I'm holier than thou, because it's not the case. I'm just like, man, like I want to try to have this be a mainly 80 series specific event. We're gonna have some other shit sprinkled in. My VP Aaron is gonna have his GX out there because they're running. Like I don't know that many people that know Edison that also own 80s. So I have an FJ Cruiser, a couple 4Runners, one 4Runner on tons and 42s, which is rad, and a couple other odds and ends, but mostly 80 series for the event. So like support staff will have things that aren't 30 years old and falling apart. So.
Or different things that are 30 years old and falling apart.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good,
That's,
nonetheless. But kind of getting refocused here. We'll the whole day will start about 9:30 somewhere in there. Try to get up to the shelter, coal shelter, and take lunch or something there. Get some pictures, depending on what the groups look like. We'll try to get some pictures, and then we'll head back down, and then hopefully the plan, if everything goes to plan, we'll have a hot meal waiting for us at the bottom of the hill. So homemade beef stew and cornbread, and then whatever else people want to bring. So
nice.
yeah, it should be a great time, and then we'll have a raffle at camp and hang out, drink beer, and be merry. So
Cool.
and
Well, that's good.
yeah.
I think if last year was any indicator, I think it'll be a lot of fun. I don't know if all the stars align, I might try to come out there when I get home. If not, I don't know if I can sucker Colin and a few of the other people, the fire truck Jeep, into coming up Sunday morning or something. It might be fun to go wheel it, anyways. But we'll see. We'll see.
Gotcha. There'll be plenty of people out there. We're hoping. I think there'll probably be some people that will be ready to go play around Sunday if they're making the trip up.
Sweet.
I don't have any sort of intention of wheeling Sunday because I'm probably going to be a very frozen individual. I'll probably be pretty cold and pretty miserable.
Man, snow camping.
Winter camping is one thing, and I'm like, I got a rooftop tent now. I'm a real car camper. So.
I love camping, and that's a thing that is very big for me. I love doing it. I hate being uncomfortable. So, uncomfortable, great. Snow, no, thank you.
People really get upset with me that I don't want to go snow wheeling after work. Which for me, I'm a tree guy. So, in the winter we do snow removal. So I'm out in the snow for anywhere between
Dealing with it all day.
14 hours, dealing with it all day, and then I get a text message from Jeremy with about 37 other people in the chat, and they're all like, "Hey, you want to go snow wheeling?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't have. I've been an ice cube all day. My feet are cold, my hands are cold, my toes are wet. I don't want nothing to do with it. I ain't got dry boots, like none."
Yeah. Well,
So,
and not only that, snow wheeling means getting stuck. I love snow wheeling. It's one of my. I really do like it, but I don't work in the snow all day either. So like, I'm gonna go get stuck for a few hours or maybe a day. Who knows? But that's it. I go home. I can sit at my desk. Everything is fine.
Yeah. And I'm like, when it snows, I'm like, man, I gotta go outside and deal with this. I don't want to deal with that.
No.
So I mean, it's kind of a love-hate relationship. I don't mind it necessarily, but it's one of those things where I'm like, if I can not do it, I'd be happier to not do it. Either way, either like not go to work and go snow wheeling, great, which ideal situation. But
Sure, yeah.
I got to keep the lights on somehow.
Exactly.
These podcasts aren't paying me anything.
Nope.
That's for sure.
But
You're not getting a surprise check from this one, I promise you. Land Cruiser Club be damned. That's not happening.
can't win them all.
Unless they pay you for the shout out, and if they do, we need a cut of that.
Well, you'll have to talk to my lawyer. That's for the after. That's for the after.
Yeah, that's an after show thing.
I don't have a lawyer. It's just me in a suit. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, right conditions, right people, I'll go. But most of the time, I'm just like, I paid too much money to live in my house, and my house is warm, and the outside is not warm, and I've been outside all day. So
Man.
I'm gonna go be comfy.
Shout out to Luke here. He's gonna love that comment. That's his move.
Yep.
Cool. Well, that's good. So it sounds like it's gonna be a fun event. This podcast hopefully will come out right before that, so it'll be a good time for any last minute people in our tens of listeners to say, hey, I have a 3rd Gen 4Runner on 40s, maybe I'll go. But who knows?
Is that a very specific person you're talking to?
I don't know.
Right
I'm hoping. I'm just shooting a dart and hoping it lands
Sure would
somewhere.
be cool.
I'm hoping there's somebody that's listened that's like, wow, sounds like a cool guy.
There you go. I mean, if you got
cool.
3rd Gen
Alright.
40s,
That's a sweet.
hang.
That's a setup. I'm into that.
I'm into that. I agree.
Okay, well, before we let you go, I think you need to explain to us why you said we shouldn't ask you why 3rd Gen Tacomas suck, because, man, I gotta know this. So I know that this is a good story.
Yes. So, oh man, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this.
Good.
Sam over at Toyota. He's gonna be like, I can see his eyes roll. Do you guys know Sam Callanan?
I don't know if I do, but I'm glad that you've publicly put him out on the internet here so that we can hear the story.
He never hears the end of it. So Sam is a fellow 80 series owner. This is just this is like anecdotal. But I got like, Megan, my girlfriend, had a Tacoma for, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years, somewhere in there. And we drove that thing to Salt Lake and back on the stock configuration, 265 KO2s. And, I mean, I don't think I've ever driven a more uncomfortable, disappointing vehicle in my entire life than the 3rd generation Tacoma. Trying to do, like, highway speeds at altitude is a joke. I mean, like, we were at Timberline Lodge one day. Riding mountain bikes, and this is Megan's first time at the bike park. She's pooped. She's like, "Hey, can you drive?" I'm like, "Sure, no problem." So we get to the bottom of the hill, and it's a blind left-hand corner coming up that hill, and people are going like crazy up there trying to get over that hill. So I pull out just a little bit, and I see that somebody's coming, just like floor it. I'm like, okay, cool. The truck should do normal truck things and go like hell. And sure enough, without fail, it goes 1st, 3rd, 4th, 2nd, 1st, and blows the tires off. And I'm like, who okayed this? Like, what kind of shift map goes like, and I'm just like, what? Why? Why?
There's that transmission is a whole thing.
It's really the Achilles heel of that whole truck. The manual trucks are fine. They're geared different. So the auto trucks got 373s, whereas the manual trucks, like my buddy Dan's, got 430s in the axles, which is awesome.
Oh,
so
wow.
They're sporty to drive. The engine's still an absolute fucking dud. But yeah, I'm just
it's a big deal when the average person who modifies those does 529s and 33s. Like, that's insane.
I think that's a bit of a stretch. But like 488s and like 35s, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Or like the supercharger, like the $10,000 not Harp. I think it's who makes the supercharger for those?
It might be a Magnuson.
I think it might be, but like you gain maybe 70 horsepower.
Yeah.
For like $10,000 installed. I'm like, bro, why? Like you spend so much money elsewhere. Or like,
because they're trapped in the Tacoma. And they've got such good residual on that $300 a month lease that, like, why not put a supercharger on it?
I get it. I'm like, I get it. At the same time, I've driven supercharged Tacomas. It's nothing special. Like, one of those 2.3 Rangers with the EcoBoost in the 10-speed would freaking whomp it all day long. But, like, and then, like, this is just the engine and transmission combination. We haven't even got to the chassis, which is from 2005, mind you. They haven't changed anything on the underside of that truck but the engine and trans from like 05 up. So I'm like, you got drum brakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, drum brakes was the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the whole deal with the drum brakes, if you asked any of the Toyota salesmen, was, oh, it's for reliability. I'm like, I got to thinking, when was the last time Land Cruiser, which is the most reliable Toyota that they make, had drum brakes?
Yeah,
it was 1992. I have a 91, which also had drum brakes. You know what I got on that thing now? I got a full float out of a 95.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that you hadn't changed your brakes because they're so reliable.
Yes, no, I changed it. I got rid of that shit. I like stopping. But I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't understand the allure of a $50,000 truck that has a V6 with no turbos attached to it and drum brakes, and it's $50,000 because it's Army green or it's radioactive monster piss green or whatever color they've got you in. That
green color is bad.
That green's really bad.
It's a sin.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's bad. I'm like, people paid money for this. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Good money. And they waited.
They waited.
Oh, I know.
Paid up to get it early.
Somebody.
Well, if you're looking for a third gen Tacoma, our buddy Jesse's got one on 37s for sale. So if you're ready to get into one,
yeah, he's already dealt with all the drum brake issues when he got the e-brake to lock up on it because it was packed full of mud.
Yeah,
had to drive it all the way back.
Oh my god, it was nearly on fire when we got to Prineville. It was insane.
Context here, boss.
I don't really know. So we did a camp trip in the Ochicos, and I don't know exactly what happened, but his rear brake, like his e-brake, just kept locking up randomly. And I think it was one side.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was always the same side, but every once in a while it would just lock up. And so he had to like back up for 50 feet one time, and that fixed it. And then he's like on the radio from wherever he got back onto the highway out to Prineville and back, and he's like, I think it's still happening. I don't know. And then we stop at a gas station and it's just smoking hot. Did he disconnect it, or did you what did he do?
No,
Colin?
he ended up, so one, he finally couldn't get it to disengage when we got to camp because it was wet and muddy.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
he couldn't, like, there was no traction for it to spin the wheel. And so he's just like driving around with the back just locked up, just trying to get it to unlock. So that was a great watch.
It was a wet weekend too.
Yeah, and then after that, then we get to the gas station and fill up and whatnot. And he's like, "Yeah, I think it's still doing it because just the drive from camp into Prineville on pavement, he touched his wheel and it was pretty damn hot." And he's like, yeah, I think it's still on there. And I think he ended up, I can't remember what exactly he did, but he might have drove all the way back to Portland with it that way and then took it apart and found out like what was wrong with it, and then had to replace everything because it was completely destroyed at that point.
I don't even remember what happened. Again, this is a moment where I'm sure he's just yelling at the radio
as he listens
while we're
yes.
talking about this. But yeah, it must have been a pin that popped out or something. I don't know. It was not good.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, I mean, nothing like a 2020 TRD Pro having drum brakes and having that happen. I think it's a 18,
so
but
you're brand new 50.
Not just having the drum brakes,
truck.
but having drum brake issues on top of that.
No, he didn't have any left.
Yeah. Man, not
They
good.
worked all the way back to Portland, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean,
never let
he
go.
stopped when he got home, so
There you go. Yeah.
problem
man.
solved.
Yeah, I
Cool.
would be pretty thoroughly upset if my brand new $50,000 truck was malfunctioning because I used it as intended.
Yeah, that's a
I'd be
tough
pretty
pill to
mad.
swallow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
I'd be pretty mad.
It's tough too because Toyota has this golden halo of reliability, and it's pretty true, right? Like for the most part, that stereotype exists for a reason, but the outliers are pretty bad. Like some of the things like that you're like, whoa, man, if that happened to a Saab, I don't think anybody would be stoked about it at all. Like people would not be buying those.
No. Well, it's like
Obviously.
there's been some issues with that new twin turbo power plant they've got in the Tundras.
Oh no.
So I guess some of them are. There was one example of a spun main. No, it was. I don't know if it was a spun main or if it was something in the block wasn't machined correctly and wiped out the crank.
Yeah.
So they couldn't. They were trying to pinpoint like leaks, and then they also had a stop sale recently too, of a fuel line that was routed next to either exhaust or brakes. I don't remember exactly.
Mine are probably like that. It's fine.
Yeah, it's supposed to do that. It's supposed to catch on fire. But there was like this big stop sale on the Tundras, and they're like, we don't know how to fix it yet.
Oh my
Even
god.
though they had just announced it. I mean, these are drops in the pan comparative to some of the big three auto manufacturers. I mean,
Sure.
look at the Ford Bronco.
Yeah, and recalls happen all the time, so like I get it. And first year vehicles, like there is some things to be said. And I'm not trying to be a Toyota apologist on that. That is all vehicles, I think. Like I pay pretty close attention to automotive news, and that's just the thing that happens. But when your whole shtick is reliability, sometimes that looks a little bad. Like that's not.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, Chevy isn't going around saying we're the most reliable vehicle in the U.S. It's just not happening. Ford is not doing that. They're saying, look at our cool thing.
Yeah,
Toyota's-
Land Rover leans
That's what they're
into unreliability. So, I mean,
Look how bad it is.
how bad can it be, right?
Look what we can't do.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you'll look good doing it.
Oh man, they're the best. Love
Colin,
it.
what are your thoughts on the new Defender?
New Defender. Okay.
Oh, I think
so
that's a Colin question.
Yeah, we've gone over this before, but the new Defender, I really like it. I think it's super cool. Like just it as a vehicle that it is, I think it's very cool. But it is not a Defender. I think that should be the new Discovery because they've ruined the Discoveries now, and they're just the piss in a bucket SUV for everyone. But basically, the new Defender, that should be a Discovery, and they should have either just totally gave up on Defender or continued, because they did the stop on building the real Defenders, and they should have either brought it back just like new but actually still had all the right things like solid axles and coil springs and whatnot, but they didn't, and they just expected everyone to be like, yeah, this is how cars are built now. And it's like, I don't know, it's disappointing in that sense that it says Defender on it, but I think they're really cool. So it's really hard.
I'm kind of in agreement with that, Colin. I think they're pretty neat, but saying Defender on the tin and then opening it up and seeing what's on the inside, it's just a glorified crossover. Is kind of disappointing. Mm-hmm. But I think for general overland type shenanigans, I think it's just fine.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's going to be super comfy.
All the right things, all the right creature comforts.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Exactly.
I mean, to me, the problem is that like it's a luxury SUV, right? So like it doesn't really matter, but like if it was the same price as a Bronco, I'd buy it every time. Like, why would you buy a Bronco over that? But it's not. It's more because it's more. The whole, I mean, it is a, you know, it's the elevated experience. So if you're super fancy and you want to buy that, I think it's awesome. I think it's a cool rig, but like I don't get hung up on the, like, it should be the same as the old thing though. Even though I get the concept, I just, like, it's not, like, nothing is the same, right? We move away from drum brakes because they sucked, and maybe IFS and IRS sucks right now, but maybe it is the thing. I don't know. Like, so look at the Grenadier, the Ineos
the Grenadier,
vehicle, which is basically a Defender.
Yep.
They're not going to sell enough of those to matter. It's cool, and I want one. But, like, we, the three of us, I think are the minority. I think the majority of people that are buying that's a, what, $60,000 rig, $50,000 or so. Like, the majority of those people are buying stupid crossovers, like RXs and, I don't know, Jeep Compasses and stupid stuff like that.
Oof,
like, it doesn't,
gross.
like, meet, like, it's bad taste to us, but to them, it's like an A to B. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, like I before I rant too hard, I don't get it, but I understand in a way why that's the thing.
Yeah, it's just, for me, it's like the Land Rovers, like, the Defender was supposed to be, like, to Land Rover what the Wrangler is to Jeep. Like, that's the vehicle that is strictly there to be the off-road vehicle. Like, yes, there's a bunch of people that are going to buy it that aren't using it that way because that's how it is. It's the same thing with a G-Wagon. You know, 98% of them don't actually get off-roaded, even though they're crazy good off-road rigs. The Defender was supposed to be that for Land Rover, and it was for the longest time. That's why it didn't change for so long, just like how the Wrangler doesn't fucking change much, and yet it still sells like crazy. But it's just the change of making it we want more people to buy it instead of sticking to the roots of it. Like, that's where the rub is, basically.
Yeah. I get it. I wonder if there's any, like, military aspect. Like, the G-Wagon was a military vehicle, right? I wonder if they're, like, as that, like, specializes into, I'm going to say things that I have no idea about, but, you know, what is the stupid, with the, never mind. All the weird military vehicles that are out there now that are not Humvees, essentially, right? They're their own thing.
The JLTV.
Yeah, like that.
The
and
Joint Light Tactical Vehicle.
The bigger one, what's the bigger one called? MRAP. Yeah. Like those things, like, those are just different now. Like, they're not based on another vehicle. Whereas, like, the premise of a Defender, the premise of a G-Wagon, the premise of, like, a old Jeep, like, all those things were, like, capable multi-world off-road vehicles, or multi-country, and that just doesn't seem to exist because, like, we've manufactured ourselves into this spot where companies exist for that sole purpose, whereas maybe Jeep did, but now Jeep exists to take people to soccer games, like, and look cool with their angry eyes. Like, that's why they exist. And Land Rover exists to, you know, cart royalty around and football players and all that kind of thing. Like, that's what they do. They still look cool though, so there is that.
Yeah,
it's really it.
I like the look of the Defender, man.
I think it's awesome.
Yep.
I think it's a very handsome truck, and I think they got the aesthetics, like, bang on.
Yeah.
I mean, in the name of, like, off-road stuff right now, we've got the new Bronco, we've got obviously the recently redesigned Wrangler, we've got the new J250 Land Cruiser coming out, and what else is there? I think we're in a pretty unique time and space where we've got all of these, like, unique and interesting cars coming out now, where they're, you know, it's four-wheel drive centric. That's the hot thing, is, like, the outdoors.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it definitely is. What do you think about the new Land Cruiser?
I was waiting for this question.
I'm sure you were.
Personally, I'm excited to see it because a couple of things. It's going to be hybrid only, which I think is going to actually do wonders for the platform.
Me too.
Because you can have the power and you can have the reliability, because nobody does nobody does hybrids better than Toyota. Like, let's be real here. They are pioneers in that space.
Almost as good as their drum brakes.
Almost. Not quite. But if you combine them, you get a drum brake battery pack. Now we're talking. But, I think, like, the Prius has proven it time and time again. Also, shout out the brand new Prius. It looks awesome.
Oh, my God.
I'd say that. It has no business looking that good.
It's so good. Shocker of the century. It is the best looking new car.
Seriously, like, comparative to what it used to look like to what it looks like right now, I'm like, go off.
I love it.
You had the glow up of the year.
Anyways,
back to important Land Cruiser things that have nothing to do with the Prius. I was a little on the fence, but I think once I see it in person, the aesthetics will grow on me. But the important stuff is it's got a locking 9.5 from the factory as standard equipment, and then it doesn't have KDSS. It starts in the mid 50s, which is still kind of expensive, but it leaves space for the eventuality that is the new 4Runner.
Well, yeah, it's also not 90 grand, so that's helpful.
Right. So yeah, it's still not cheap, but it's also not a fully loaded luxury barge. Yeah. Which, again, I'm totally fine with a luxury barge, because if you've ever watched people who modify the 200s drive them, it is so crazy to see what that thing will do while you're getting a massage. It's
like a Defender.
It's like a G-Wagon.
Yeah.
We've all seen what Whistling Diesel can do with that thing, and how much that thing took before it finally quit. It's very impressive. But it harkens back to what that truck was originally built to do, which was be driven around in the field by a bunch of grunts, basically, and survive it. So no matter what it took. So, and that's where the Land Cruiser has roots as well, is they needed a general purpose vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. So, I think it's cool. Did you go to Expo Pacific Northwest in Redmond? Did you see the GX there?
I did see the GX.
Yeah, I like the size. That was the first thing.
It's about the same length as a 200, but it's narrower. So it's about the size. It's a little bit bigger than like our current GX that we've got.
Yeah. I like it. I like the square body. I like all the stuff. Like, big fan.
I think I like it. I'm into it.
Yep. I don't want to Toyota nerd about it too hard, but I really think it's cool. I think it's a good move.
Too late for that, you guys.
I mean, you just.
Well, now that we've got the important Land Rover question out of the way,
15 minutes.
the actually important stuff.
Yeah. 15-minute Toyota tangent over here.
The way I see it, we could probably keep talking about Land Cruisers for another hour, maybe two.
Do you guys just need me to leave so you can do this together, or
it might be nice.
I'm sure I got more beer in the fridge.
Some
we
Toyota
can
privacy.
Just go hang out in the backyard. Yeah. I got 3 80 series in the driveway right now.
Man, I tried 2 for a minute, and that's too many for me.
That's a lot of maintenance.